Quick! Is anyone here an author? Her name is Dr. Emily, and she's an author? Please welcome to the Imperfects, our very own author. We are here for a very special bonus episode with Dr. Emily because Dr. Emily has released a book called Unstuck, and you can buy it now. All right. Woo! Hey. Dr. Emily.
Oh, God, I'm crying.
Huge congratulations. People, we've mentioned it a few times throughout the year that you've been writing a book.
Yes.
And it's finally out. People can buy it, read it, have their life changed, become unstuck. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm getting very emotional with laughter.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Obviously, we've put up a sign behind you, which unfortunately it's supposed to say unstuck in like inflatable letters, but unfortunately they'd run out of ends, so it does say unstuck. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
You get the idea. But it is unstuck.
Who ordered it? Who did the ordering?
Well, I went to Big W and bought them. No big deal.
Were you tempted to go with an E and just call it M stuck?
Well, that did occur to me afterwards, but
then
I
it
feel
moves it too far away from the title,
it
doesn't it?
does. Yeah, and I don't want to sound like M stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know?
She's anything but stuck.
I hope I'm not.
Yeah.
No, she's unstuck. She's
Yeah.
written a book about it.
Yeah.
An incredible book which I haven't yet read. But going off Bella's review, I'm going to start it immediately. I'm actually taking this copy home today.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Congratulations. How do you
Yeah.
feel?
Thank you. I feel very, very full of love for you guys for a start. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this actually today, as you know.
It'd be a strange thing to expect. God, I hope they don't put an stuck sign behind me.
No, it feels so surreal, very weird that this is in existence, I think. Yeah. And I can't actually really quite fathom how I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a significant thing. I mean, Hugh's done it twice, but to write a book is it's sort of like one of those things that, in my mind, grown-ups do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you are obviously a grown-up. We all technically are. But it feels like such a mature thing to do, particularly to write a book like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Yeah, look, it's certainly not actually what I had ever imagined would happen in my life. So, like, to have the opportunity still blows my mind, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know, Hugh, you're going to read a little section from it.
Yep.
And we will talk a little bit more about the book. But like, what was it like writing it?
Mm-hmm. Well, as I think probably any writer would probably attest to, it was really tricky. It was really hard. I found it really hard. But also, I must say, really so enriching. Like, I really actually liked getting stuck into to the flow of writing. That was fabulous. What I got really stuck with was like what to include and what not to include, and how to kind of capture the parts of the work that I do in something that feels like tangible and concrete and understandable, so that you kind of have a sense of maybe what even therapy might be like. So that was kind of hard distilling that.
So that's interesting. So it's kind of like if you read it, or when you read it, it's designed to give you a bit of a sense of the types of things you might talk about, or the areas you're going through. Oh, cool.
And the reason that it's, it's entitled Unstuck, or the theme is being unstuck, is that at its core, the reason that people come to therapy, or the reason that people seek change, is because they're feeling stuck in some way. And like, as I've mentioned before, there are a myriad ways in which we can experience being stuck, but that is the heart of what brings us into therapy, really, is a yearning for something to change, a yearning for something to be different. So this book is kind of, in some ways, like a little model of how we might approach the work of change, really. Yeah.
Well, I was very lucky to get a copy of it quite early on because I was doing what's it called when you write a testimonial?
Byline?
Quote?
Quote. Give me a quote for the book.
There's a quote on the front by Hugh Van Cuylenburg.
And it came at incredible timing for me because that was for reasons that most people probably understand with what was going on in my personal life. I realised I had been to myself and to when anyone asked, how are you going, I was saying, I'm just totally and utterly broken. I just kept saying that. And so that was this narrative that I started sort of believing about myself, that I was broken and unable to be fixed, basically. And through reading the book, I was, the timing was amazing. So I thought, no, I'm not broken. I'm just stuck at the moment. And it was just, even that in itself, like I discovered that in the first, probably half an hour reading, that was huge for me now being in a place where I'm not stuck anymore. And I don't think I would have been able to get, I think I've even thanked you for that, but I don't think I would have been able to get to that point where I am now without that realisation.
Oh, that's really wonderful to hear, Dan. Yeah.
I was going to write that as the cover thing in the book, but then...
No room for the title.
Can't cut it down, sorry. Take it or leave it.
It's 400 words.
I love the subheading of it too. It's called, so it's Unstuck is the title, but then it says A Guide to Finding Your Way Forward to the Life You Want to Live. I mean, who doesn't want that?
No one. But it's also great because I think for a lot of people who, there are so many barriers, whether perceived or otherwise, to getting into therapy. And this book is really great for people who haven't been able to find the right therapist for them or aren't able to afford it. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, this is great for these people as well.
I'm so glad to hear that. I think one of the things I really struggled with, and I mentioned this in the first chapter, I think, is even and I know that Maria's spoken about this same point too, my almost skepticism around the experience of reading a self-help book and whether there is like real capacity for change just from reading something. And I think, what I've hopefully made really clear in there is that you can read it or you can really encounter the experience of reading it. And so it's not my words specifically that will promote change or prompt you to move forward in life, but how you encounter them yourself and how you kind of metabolize your own experience, how willing are you to tune into your own experience. So it's not that this is a directive by any means, but more an invitation to turn towards your own experience. Yeah.
Yeah, when I think about like the best self-help type books that I've read, the best books are the ones that not necessarily like changed me or cured me in the moment, but at least opened a door to a new way of thinking that I hadn't really thought about before.
Well, I think like even in saying that in some ways it might feel disappointing that there isn't like a 5-step plan to happiness. And like in some ways that's what we all yearn for, is like, if I do these exact steps, then I will be happy. Then I will be in this right place finally. And I think like in reality that is not actually realistic. And so, there's this very kind of, I guess from my point of view, this very upfront acknowledgement that this isn't a 5-step plan, but what is in the book are my observations and evidence-based research around what helps us to move towards change.
Hang on, so is it 6 or 7 steps? How many steps is it then? I don't think I can take more than 10.
So there's like in the book there are lots of different tools and strategies, but also what sits at the foundation is the approach that I would often use in therapy, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, mindfulness and self-compassion based approaches. So it's kind of the tools are held by these theoretical and therapeutic approaches.
A constant question that people have been asking is there an audiobook and do you read the audiobook? And that is,
yes.
You do.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it was a very strange experience recording the book too. You just did this little dark room for hours on end. It's like you lose track of time and space and but it's out there. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd love to read
the book right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to remind everyone, Hugh's a bit of a control freak, so he's going to he's insisted on reading the book rather than Em. Is that the reason, Em?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Hugh, is that the reason?
It's not the reason. What is the reason?
I think the reason is because it can be a bit uncomfortable reading your own words aloud, and this bit resonated with you.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, Hugh is the furthest from a control freak.
Yeah.
I think I've ever
Very clear.
Chapter 3, A Life Worth Living. And it starts with a poem. I'm telling you, just so you know.
I put in there.
The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should have I done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your own wild and precious life? I was first introduced to this poem when I was training to teach mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, a treatment program for chronic depression. There are many important messages in this poem, but it is the last two questions that always make me pause. Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? What is it you plan to do with your wild and precious life? For many of us, when we're stuck, these are the questions we may find ourselves asking. And if we haven't yet, I am gently prodding you to ask yourself these questions now. Your one wild and precious life. We don't know when and we don't know how, but it will end for all of us. Life is finite. It is this very fact that makes life so precious. It is also this fact that connects us to the greater question about how we want to live in this world. How do we want to show up to this one life knowing it will end? Our answers can serve as an infinite source of purpose, motivation, and meaning. Several years ago, the question about how I want to live hit me like a ton of bricks. On a regular day in October 2021, I found a lump in my breast. A week later, like thousands of people before me, I learnt I had breast cancer. In these early days of understanding this diagnosis, it was as though someone had turned the dial up on all my senses. All of a sudden, the sky never looked so blue, the birds never sounded so sweet, my kids' laughter never more joyous, and the love I felt for my family, my friends, and this life was never bigger. Nothing brings you closer to life than death. It asks you to look up. It asks you to pay attention. It asks you, what is it that matters deep in your heart? Gratefully, I'm cancer-free now. The worry that it will return is like a little unwanted shadow. But the gift it left behind was it taught me about my values. It taught me what I want my life to stand for and why it is that life is so precious to me. I want to leave this earth knowing that I have been present and alive for all of it. It brought to life my values and curiosity, learning, openness, and compassion. It showed me that my deepest yearnings was for the people in my life to know and to feel how much I love them. Now, of course, we don't want to have to stare down the barrel of cancer diagnosis or wait to be hit by the huge revelatory experience to get clear about our values and how to live by them. I'd not recommend it. In my role as a psychologist, values are an inherent aspect of the work I do with my clients. Our values tell us where we want to be heading, even when it feels like there are 100 obstacles in the way. They offer us a roadmap for moving beyond this place of being stuck. Regardless of what position you find yourself in, or what hurt or pain you have suffered in the past, clarifying how you want to show up to the rest of our lives can be done now. Our values are available to us in any moment, if we are willing to pay attention. In this chapter, we will uncover what our values are and what purpose they serve in helping us to get unstuck. We will uncover what it is to make life worth living.
Wow,
Yeah.
I really can't wait to read the book now. I was lying before, but that's like probably one of the biggest moments in your life, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people who've listened to the podcast for a long time, you never really talk about your personal life, and probably, like, ironically, a lot of people might assume that you've got no issues.
That's perfect.
And
Yes.
you've got your very everything's very good and you know everything and blah, blah, blah. And that is by design as a therapist. You're very closed in that way. So that's I'm sure quite surprising and confronting for a lot of people to hear that you had breast cancer.
Yeah. 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 And it is something that I have probably specifically not spoken about for a number of reasons, in part as a protection of my children. So they were really, really little when I was diagnosed. And we didn't tell them at the time because they were actually just too little to kind of get a sense as to what was happening. But I have since told my eldest, and it's a much nicer place to tell them from a place of being recovered. But it was important that he knew before I disclosed it to anybody else publicly. But the reason that I wanted that to be in there is to really impart that, first of all, I'm not speaking from a place of having it all together and having not suffered. And so it's this real sense that that at some point in our lives we will all experience suffering, and I'm not immune to that. And that although my experience, of course, will be different from every single other person in the world, what I will share with every single person is that there is a suffering and a pain, and that is a universal experience. And I wanted, I guess, people to know that all the things that I've written in the book are things that I wholeheartedly believe in, and the things that have helped me so significantly in my life, in my struggle with pain and suffering and grief and so many things. So I wanted it to feel like I was authentically speaking about these things from a place of like real lived experience.
Wow.
It was certainly when I was very excited to read the book and was expecting a whole lot of incredible, like I listened to a whole lot of episodes of you on the podcast, but when you did mention that, when you disclosed that, I thought, oh my gosh, this book is going to be so much more than I ever, and I was so proud of you for divulging that, because I just felt like, we all knew you were going through that, and it was very hard, but the fact you shared in the book, I think will, just add so much to this book.
What did your son say when you told him?
It was interesting actually. His first question, even though I made it really clear, that I was fine and that there was no concern here. Are you going to die? That was his first question. And obviously kind of we spoke about that, and it was so interesting. I told him we were in a tent that he'd created in his bedroom. We were just like lying on the floor, and he was in this like cubby tent pillow thing. And we were just kind of side by side, and we were just having a chat about things. But he really just moved on very quickly. And so I'd kind of, like, I think he was fine. And I checked in with him about he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And it's just like, so interesting. And maybe as time unfolds, I'll understand how that has really impacted him. But I think he felt safe. That was my sense, that he felt safe because I was safe. And so he didn't need to think about it maybe in another way. But yeah, it's at the time of diagnosis, without question, the two of them were like the biggest pain point. And it was almost as though I can suffer the pain myself, but to cause pain to them it was just beyond imaginable.
It's the opposite of what you're here to do.
Yes, exactly. So, but it, like I said in the book, it just, we don't want to have, revelatory near-death diagnoses, encounters with the fact that life is finite, but there is a gift that sits beyond it. And it is like, in some ways like it's a call to arms. How is it that you want to live? And that we get this one chance, and that can bring with it a burden, but it also can bring with it like opportunity and curiosity and openness.
It's do you like, because like I said before, I think the assumption from everyone that knows you through the podcast is that, well, this is good for everyone, but Em obviously never gets stuck because she has all the information and the knowledge, so she probably just is never stuck.
No.
I mean, like, obviously, when I say obviously, it's only because you're a human.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously that's not the case. But are you good at taking your own advice, essentially, or following your own?
That's a good question. I really make an effort to, but it's hard. Like, and I think that that's one of the points in the book too, is that there will be times when you're going to get stuck. There are times that I've been stuck and I will get stuck again. But it's kind of this willingness to really turn towards my own stuff. And so, look, I really work hard at practicing what I preach, so to speak. And there are practices that I do that have been so profoundly helpful. And I'm sure you will have heard me talk a lot about mindfulness, but that in particular, really at a time of real uncertainty and fear, was so grounding and centering for me. It was like a resource that I felt very grateful that I already had in my life. So I had been practicing mindfulness and meditation long before that diagnosis, and I think it really held me it held me more than if I hadn't have had it. And so it's stuff like that. It's stuff like exercise, moving the body, paying attention to the body, tuning in, working a lot with emotions has been a really powerful practice for me. But yes, of course, I am a normal human that has normal problems. Totally.
I understand why it was beautifully said, why you're sharing more of yourself. How does it feel to be doing it?
In some ways it feels totally fine.
Yeah.
Also because I recognize I'm not in the struggle at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think that there's always something different about writing it retrospectively from a place of recovery, for example, or from a place of feeling better or whatever it might be. So there's that. On the other hand, I also sometimes think when I sit around this table, I don't feel like I'm talking to like hundreds of people. And equally, when I was writing the book, it felt like it was just me and the words. And so, yes, there's a bit of some dissonance there around the fact that other people will hear this. But I did make a specific point, I think, in talking to you guys first. Like if I was going to disclose that in any other media, for example, or have anybody else have the book, I really wanted it to be you guys first, because I feel the most immense gratitude and safety and connection with all of you. And so it felt like this was the most important place to share that.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. I think I feel like it's worth bringing up that, like, I reckon every time you do an episode and you leave, I reckon we all talk for about half an hour about how amazing you are. And it's been one of the absolute greatest things in my life, being able to talk to you on this show. And so I'm just so happy for everyone that they get a chance to delve deeper and hear your words more directly.
Oh, that's going to bring me to tears, Josh.
Because it's really has been just incredible. And so, I can't wait to do more episodes and make a lot more of this with you. But it's a real gift that people are going to get.
Oh, thank you so much.
It is a little bit like when you're a kid and your parents tell you like some family friends are coming over. And like this is before.
They're the best ones.
Yeah, like the best ones. It's before phones. You don't know exactly when they're coming.
Yeah.
And you just sit out the front waiting, going, are they going to be here soon? Don't know. I don't know, but they'll be here today. And you're just waiting.
That is a great feeling.
And we're just like, Em's coming. When is she? Is she on the line? I think she's coming. And then when she leaves, we're all just standing around excited. Talking about it. Wasn't that great?
What a life that was.
Yeah.
Waiting on the letterbox.
Yeah.
Just like, and don't know exactly that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what it's like.
let me tell you, the feeling is very mutual, and I don't want to gush about how grateful I am, but like
that's okay. I'm happy to.
You have changed my life, and I think there's been such immense growth for me personally and therapeutically that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do otherwise. Yeah.
So good.
Amazing.
Well, the book is called Unstuck. It's out now, and it's compulsory to purchase.
You are not allowed to listen to the Imperfects if you haven't bought it.
We'll be checking.
It's one of those weird situations where the purchase is compulsory. Never done before.
Genius move, though.
Yeah, great move from Em and Penguin. Compulsory book purchase.
No one else has thought of it.
No.
Yeah.
So that's great for you, Em.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. Like you might be starting something now. People might copy that. I definitely off my next one.
Well, thank you, Em, for writing the book, for everything that you've done for our podcast and for the people listening. Like you are easily the favourite of the four of us.
Yeah.
People always can't wait for your episodes and just love you, and it's very obvious why. And I'm extremely threatened, but happy to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks,
really.
Em.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Party music out.
Party music out.
Did you have lyrics?
I don't. Damn. Nah. I was gonna write lyrics. No. I was tempted for a second.
You're staring down the microphone.
No. If you enjoyed this episode, there's a very good chance you'll love the Vulnerability Mail, our weekly newsletter to help you remain imperfect. Each week, we'll send you one vulnerable question inspired by the current episode to help you unpack your own imperfect life. Subscribe at www.theimperfects.com.au.